And if there's one thing that these old quarterbacks do is they start the season very strong, and as the hits start coming and they don't stop coming, then the body starts to wear down on you when you're a 42-year-old man.
Love the Smash Mouth reference. Just phenomenal stuff. We back. This is Wilk and Wiss, Season 3, Episode 1, your weekly insight into Utah athletes in the National Football League. We love to hear from you, the fans, as well, why you're a fan of what team you are. And Cole, my man,
Tanner.
oh, it's so good. Football is here. Got a text from my mom this morning. I'm calling Snow College's game tonight. It's a top 10 JUCO matchup, by the way. We'll talk
Awesome.
about a few Badgers. Calling a high school game tomorrow. Got BYU playing Saturday night and Sunday. Well, it's no longer 7 hours of commercial-free football, which is a
Oh, don't get me
travesty.
started.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But a good cup. It's good. My mom said you've got a good 4-day stretch ahead of you, and I agreed. It's good to be back, brother.
It is football time. And we've been saying it whenever I do that first high school game, we're on high school game we've done two high
Yeah,
school games. It'll be three before Sunday. And it's like the middle of preseason and it's still 100 degrees in the morning. And in my pregame show, I always start like, hey, it's football weather, right? It's football time. It's good to be back. Then college comes the next week, then the NFL. And that's when it really feels like we have like meaningful football because the preseason starts to wear on you. The first couple games, it's like, hey, we see real football. It's not just training camp clips. But then by the third game of preseason, none of the guys on the field are even going to make rosters. And unless you're a big UFL guy, you're probably not going to see these guys ever again. So
yeah,
this is football, and this is football that counts. And I want to talk about it. It's been such a long off season.
yeah. Let's jump right into it. We'll break down who's in what division with their connections, and then we'll make predictions on division winners and then wild cards as well. And once we wrap this up, we'll get to some other predictions as well. AFC East is where we're starting. The Buffalo Bills loaded with guys on the roster. Cole Bishop, safety out of Utah. Dalton Kincaid's back, tight end out of Utah. Taron Johnson, darling of this show, cornerback out
Yes.
of Weber State. Jackson Hawes made the 53-man roster, tight end out of Highland High. For the Dolphins, Zach Wilson is QB2 now in Miami out of BYU and Corner Canyon High. Braden Daniels is on the practice squad for them. He's an offensive lineman out of Utah. Patriots signed Kyrus Tonga this offseason, D-tackle from BYU and Granger High. They also have corner Miles Battle out of Utah on their practice squad. And Jay Tufele has been with the Bengals, now finds himself on the Jets 53-man squad, the D-tackle out of Bingham. Cole, I like the Bills again. I think
Shocking.
this is probably one of the easier picks that we're going to make all season long. I think New England improves a lot. I think Miami regresses just a smidge, but this should be Buffalo's to lose.
Yeah, and the first few divisions, especially since we're starting with the AFC, are kind of going to be like this, where there's not a lot of surprises unless you're going to surprise me. I know I didn't pencil them in, and so you look at the Bills. I think Dalton Kincaid, one of our guys, is one of the big stories for them. They've pared down their receiving core again, and then didn't do a lot in free agency. Josh Palmer's like the guy, I guess. And you lose Mac Hollins, and so they're waiting for that big Dalton Kincaid arrival season, and we're hoping for it too, as he's a big appearance on this show. So I also take the Bills.
I don't have any wild cards from this division. I think Miami just misses out on the playoffs, which stinks because that probably means Mike McDaniel is gone, which is a
Yeah,
bummer.
that's the one I'm gonna save for a little bit because the Dolphins are right on that border for me, and I might be making a late game decision
I
on
like
whether
it.
the Dolphins are in or not. So the
Let's
AFC North,
Your division.
my division with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You mentioned Snow College guys, Utah State, Snow College Badger, and East High Utah through and through. Jalen Warren got a big contract to go with it. One of the big guys for the Steelers. RB1 probably as the rookie Caleb Johnson, has a slow ramp up, and then Miles Killebrew, the special teams captain for the Pittsburgh Steelers from the University of Southern Utah. Also in the AFC North are the Baltimore Ravens with Kyle Van Noy, who, when the NFL put out its "Who's going to lead the league in sacks" graphic, KVN's picture was up there at this point in his career on like this team. It's awesome. And then Tyler Huntley on their practice squad. Cincinnati Bengals have punter Ryan Rico out of BYU, Caleb Etienne out of BYU, Jalen Davis, the cornerback, and then Tanner McLaughlin, a tight end. The Cleveland Browns have Mohamed Diabate, a linebacker from Utah, and Winston Reed, linebacker from Weber State and Copper Hills High.
Yeah, a couple of these guys landing on the injured reserve to start the season, but still technically part of the squads there. Uh, Cole, I like the Ravens winning the division again. Again, seems like a kind of a pencil in thing. I think Cincinnati is
What do you
we
think
have
about
this
Cincinnati,
we
Tanner?
have this conversation every year. I have them as the last wild card spot in
Okay.
the AFC. There's enough drama there that they're going to make it interesting. There's enough issues with the front office, but Joe Burrow has looked as good as ever from reports we've heard, and it doesn't surprise me one bit. So I think Cincinnati gets in, but I've got Baltimore winning the division. I do not have the Steelers making the playoffs in the Aaron Rodgers year.
I do, obviously. And I don't have the Bengals, even though the Bengals, it seems like their bugaboo has only been, you get off to a slow start and you say Joe Burrow's looked good. Well, yeah, Joe Burrow's looked good because we've seen him in the preseason the way we haven't seen any other starters for any other team. I don't know if that's necessarily a good sign. And after 2 straight years of this high-powered offense and not figuring out anything else to go with it, and potentially another slow start, if the Bengals miss the playoffs again, I think Zach Taylor gets a little bit of a hot seat underneath him. But also, I mean, I don't think I officially said it, but the Ravens are my division champion
Hmm.
here and my 1 seed in the AFC.
Oh, okay. I've got them as the 2 seed behind Buffalo, but
Yeah,
it's going to be
those
close.
two,
I
that's
mean,
fine.
maybe whoever wins this first week gets that number 1 seed. We'll see.
Early
Let,
tiebreakers, love it.
let's go AFC South. Houston Texans with Junior Tafuna on their practice squad, the D tackle out of Utah and Bingham High. Dalton Schultz is back at starting tight end from Bingham High School. You've also two Bingham High guys on the Texans. How about that? Colts, Blake Freeland starting the year on the injured reserve list. He's an offensive tackle from BYU and Harriman. And then for some reason, I put Matt Gay on the list. That's incorrect. Matt Gay has gone to the Commanders.
Right.
So I don't know how. I think there was a mistake on where I was getting my information from, as I may or may not have done some copying and pasting frantically today. But
We're getting ready.
Blake Fleet,
It's still preseason for us. How
it
about that?
is. Yeah, Blake Freeland starting on the injured reserve list. Jacksonville. Devin Lloyd at linebacker, one of their better defensive players out of Utah. Tim Patrick, who they acquired in a trade just a couple weeks ago at wide receiver, spent last year in Detroit. He's a former Ute. And Jaquindon Jackson at running back on the practice squad from Utah. Tennessee Titans, they signed Cody Barton, who had a great year last year in Denver out of Utah and Brighton High School to play linebacker for them in a rebuilding situation. So uh, back-to-back years for Cody Barton having a rookie quarterback that he has to make up for there. Cole, this this division is clearly the worst in football. I think I'm just taking
Clearly,
Houston. I'm just taking Houston. I,
I am too.
I mean, maybe D'Amico Ryans gets things more back on track to what they were his first year, same with CJ Stroud. But just the Colts are a mess. The Titans are too young. Jacksonville's a huge question mark. Did they make the right coaching hire? Is Trevor Lawrence going to be that guy?
Yeah.
The safe bet is Houston. And in this case, I'm okay being safe.
The advantage to the way that we make our picks is that we don't have to put all of our chips on the table. I think that the Colts and the Jags both have potential to be on the graphic coming into the last week of season where they're still in the hunt and still, if they win and like 17 other weird things happen and this team loses by this amount of points, they can still like maybe get a tiebreaker. Also, the Colts and the Jags could be up for the first overall pick. And by the way, the Jags wouldn't even get that first overall pick. If they get the first overall pick, it goes to the Browns. That might jumpstart a rebuild for the Browns as well. But guess what? I don't have to make a call on that because I'm just saying the Texans win the division and whatever else happens in this division happens. Hopefully Cam Ward, shows a little something as a rookie.
Let's go to the West.
AFC West. This
Ooh.
division is packed and packed with like Utah storylines as well.
Hmm.
Denver Broncos, Garrett Bowles and that offensive line, the way they performed last year, coming back, big money man. Utah offensive tackle out of Utah, Snow College, shout out, and Westlake High. Then you got Jonah Ellis, one of the many pass rushers that make a name for themselves on the Broncos, out of the University of Utah, and Kearney Reed, a linebacker from Utah, and Timpview High. Caleb Lohner made the practice
Man.
squad for a football team, by the way,
Yeah,
the
this
former
is
basketball guy.
guy who played basketball at Wasatch Academy, a nationally renowned basketball high school in the middle
And
of
then
central
BYU
Utah.
and Utah.
And Utah, yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs, Kingsley Suamataia is listed as an offensive guard now going into this
Hmm.
season. He was drafted as a tackle and struggled a little bit in his first season at left tackle, trying to protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side. He's out of BYU and Orem High. Jalen Royals was a draft pick for him, wide receiver out of Utah State, trying to stretch things and make this a deep passing offense again for Patrick Mahomes. And then Jeffrey Bassa, linebacker from Kearns High on the Kansas City Chiefs. Raiders, Pete Carroll's team. Lucky Fotu, a defensive tackle from Utah and Harriman, and Jackson Powers Johnson had a tryout at center. He's officially going to be a guard coming into this season from Corner Canyon. And then the LA Chargers. You have Alohi Gilman, the safety. He was on Orem High's team. Andre James is a center from Harriman High. And then Thomas Yasmin is a tight end from Utah on their practice squad. Tanner, I haven't heard you list a lot of wild cards. Am I assuming there's going to be another three
there
teams from the division?
three of these teams will make the playoffs. I think four could, given what Pete Carroll's kind of done to rejuvenate the Raiders. They've made good, solid moves. Not enough that I'm going to pick them to make the playoffs. I think they missed the playoffs. I think they finished like 8 and 9. They've got some early games. They could make some noise. They could easily start the season off 4-0, right? And really
Tanner,
have Vegas buzzing.
you are speaking my language because when I came down to it, the two teams I was fighting for my 7th seed were the Dolphins and these Raiders, and I am gonna take the I wanted to do it, and I do believe that this Pete Carroll team, he's gonna give them that juice. And if you just get off to that early season, I'm a Steelers fan, I know. If you get
Yeah,
off to a really strong start of your season, it's tough to screw it up on the back end
right.
sometimes. Geno Smith, way better than the national media gives him credit for,
Agreed.
and I do have the Raiders as my 7th seed.
Now we know who Geno is at this point. I think Kansas City still wins the division.
I do too.
It's just it fool me once, shame on you. It's just not going to happen. Like I mean, until it happens. I said this how many times on the show last year? Did I say if not now, when? Now they lost in the Super Bowl,
Chink in the
but
armor.
guess what? The last time they lost in the Super Bowl, and then they ended up winning two more. I mean, like that does not. I've heard the argument. Oh, well, they got blown out. That was last year.
Yeah.
It was the last game of the year. That
Yeah.
means nothing. I think the Broncos have where they finished third in the division last year because of the easiness of their schedule compared to the Chargers. I think they finish ahead of the Chargers. Chargers are having some injury situations there. I still feel like they don't have all the pieces that Harbaugh wants,
Right.
right? But they're a good enough team with Justin Herbert. They'll get a wild card spot.
Yeah, I did pick the Chargers in the playoffs last year, but I think we see just a little bit of regression. They're going to be one of those, in the hunt teams on the graphic in the last week. But so my official 7 teams from the AFC are Bills, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs, Broncos, Steelers, Raiders. Tanner, yours are Bills, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs, and then you say Broncos, Chargers,
Bengals.
Bengals.
Yep.
On to the NFC.
Take it away, brother. What do we got in the North?
Well, we went from the AFC West, which is a packed division with a lot of potential playoff teams, to the NFC North, which is a packed division with a lot of potential playoff teams. Let's start with the Chicago Bears. Jalen Johnson, one of the best Utah connections in the
Hmm.
league, cornerback from the University of Utah. Braxton Jones is their starting
Yep.
offensive tackle. Noah Sewell, linebacker from Orem High, and then Xavier Carlton made the practice squad from the University of Utah and Juan Diego. The Detroit Lions defending 1 seed for the NFC and defending division champion Sione Vaki, running back Utah, officially listed as running back. Sione Vaki is a
Yeah.
guy that can do it all for you.
Yeah.
And then Penei Sewell, another one of those just all pro candidates when you start the season from Desert Hills High. Green Bay Packers, Zane Anderson, a safety from BYU and Stansbury. Chris Brooks is a running back from BYU on this team. And of course, Jordan Love, the quarterback and MVP hopeful, I will say, from Utah State. And the Minnesota Vikings. Tyler Batty is on the injured reserve list from BYU and Payson. You have Zamia Vaughn, cornerback Utah, and then Taki Taimini, defensive tackle from East High on this Vikings squad. My division champion and 2 seed eventually fighting for the 1 seed, and the team that I think will have potentially the MVP of the league, the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. I think this is their year, and we get the benefit of recording this the morning that the season starts. So all those other podcasts out there that you're listening to that maybe had Packers as like sleepers or sexy, like, oh cool, maybe they'll do it. They didn't know they got Micah Parsons on this
Yeah.
team. For my spin-off Pennsylvania connections in the National Football League, the Harrisburg guy, Penn State guy, now on the Packers.
Yeah. It's interesting. I got a text from my Packer fan brother who's been on the show a number of times. It was in our group chat the day the trade happened, and it just said, "Let's go," with 10 exclamation points. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, can't mean he's excited about what's happening with Wisconsin and Miami of Ohio right now, because it's a good thing he's a Packer fan too, because Wisconsin's not going to be good this year. The Packers are. I agree that Green Bay wins the division. I think Detroit's schedule's tough enough. And I think Dan Campbell also realizes, hey, we've done this in the regular season before. It is not it's about getting to the playoffs and then finishing in the playoffs, which they've yet to do, at least at a high level. So I think Green Bay wins the division by a razor thin margin. I think Detroit ends up with the 5 seed. I'll get to who I think goes further out of these two teams later on when we talk playoff predictions. But yeah,
Right.
the Micah Parsons is that good. Some worries about the health of this team. The receivers can never stay healthy. Jordan Love's had health issues. Parsons is already kind of dealing with some issues. But no, the way the schedules line up, I think Green Bay just finishes ahead of Detroit.
And the team that was the 5 seed last year in a game away of being the 1 seed, the Minnesota Vikings.
See, and this is I don't have the Vikings in with JJ McCarthy. I don't have the Bears in with Ben Johnson. And I get it. Like I love Kevin O'Connell. I love these might be two of my favorite coaches in the league in Minnesota and Chicago, and I'm not
Well,
picking them
after Dan Campbell, who's also
after
in this
I
division,
was
by the
going to
way.
say love all the coaches. Talk about the best coaches division wise. It's got to be the
Yes.
North between
Yes.
when you throw the floor in there. I don't think either of them make the playoffs. I think they're both competitive. I think Chicago takes a good stride this year, but they're not there yet. I think it's going to take JJ McCarthy about a half a season to really figure this out. You don't have Jordan Addison for the first 6 games. That's that I think pays dividends in terms of Justin Jefferson getting doubled up, even with Adam Thielen coming back. I'm going to say both these teams just missed the playoffs, but every team in this division is going to be a nightmare to play every week. It's going to be good football.
If you only listen to the Wilk and Wiss preseason show, you might get you might think that we don't learn from our mistakes because I picked the Bears as the 7 seed last year and I was very wrong, and we acknowledged that during the course of a season on what things wrong went for the Bears. Um, but I'm ready to get hurt again. I got the Bears in as my 7 seed with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson coming to town. I think this is what could come together, and I love that connection. I think Ben Johnson is like he was the straw that stirs the drink for the Lions for so many years. Dan Campbell, you know, he built the drink and he poured it and he did everything to it. But man, Ben Johnson's something, and I'm gonna pick the Bears as my 7 seed. And I, similar to you, Lions 5 seed and Packers as my division champion.
Let's go south. Uh, I made the bold pick of picking Tampa Bay last year, and I don't think it's as bold of a pick to pick them again. They had a great offseason, and just they Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield just work. Maybe not at winning a Super Bowl, and but they work with what's going on in this division right now. Tampa is one of two teams that has zero Utah connections. How about this though, Cole? I meant to mention this. 76 players on our list, whether on roster, practice squad, injured reserve.
Great number.
Only two teams not represented. Only two teams don't have a Utah connection. Uh, Atlanta, same three guys from last year we're going to talk about a lot. Tyler Algier at running back out of BYU. Clark Phillips, the third corner from Utah, and Caden Ellis, one of the leading tacklers in the league last year, linebacker out of Judge Memorial. Carolina, Brady Christensen at offensive guard, played better as a guard than as a
Yeah.
tackle last year. That was a good move for him out
But
of BYU and
just the
Bountiful.
quintessential sixth guy to have on your offensive line because he can
Yep,
fill in anywhere on
anywhere.
the offensive line.
Saints, Taysom Hill's back. He is starting the year on injured reserve, though, after the ACL tear. I think we're going to see Taysom play a little quarterback at times, given the Saints situation. I want to see that. It's not going to win them games, but I want to see it. Julian Blackman was their Tyrann Mathieu replacement at safety out of Utah and Leighton High. They traded for Devon Vele from the Broncos in the preseason. Devon,
A fourth round pick for the former undrafted free agent or
who's
seventh
only in
round pick. Like,
is only in
yeah,
his second year. Like Devon Vele had a good year last year. Terrell Burgess on the practice squad, safety out of Utah. Nephi Sewell, who was bouncing back and forth with their practice squad last year, linebacker out of Utah and Desert Hills. Rashid Shaheed back there returning kicks again and also looking to play receiver. He's healthy after being hurt for much of the second half of last year out of Weber State. And his former Weber teammate Jonah Williams, who spent some time with the Rams, is on the practice squad there as well as a defensive end. And then, as mentioned, the Bucks don't have anyone. But I just like Tampa, man. Give me more Baker. I've just fallen. It's the funniest thing that I've fallen in love with Baker Mayfield and just his story. I think Carolina is going to be a lot more competitive this year. My hot take in this division, Carolina finishes ahead of Atlanta in the standings. I think we can all agree the Saints are going to finish dead last in this division.
I see. I don't know about that. The Saints, despite what's going on with the quarterback situation, the Saints are another one of those teams where I don't want to put it on paper or I don't want the newspapers to say that I said it, but the Saints are I put in the same bucket as the Colts and the Jags that I mentioned, where they could be competitive. They could have 6 wins with a couple weeks left, and maybe they can win a couple more and sneak in as the seventh seed, or they could be the first overall pick. But
And the vibes are good. They all love Kellen Moore. Like every interview
yeah,
I've seen, the veterans there love Kellen Moore.
and the Saints' whole thing now. No coach and no locker room wants to lose games, but there are a lot of front offices that want to lose games and are doing things the way that like the nerds say that you need to get higher draft picks. The Saints do not subscribe to those theories, and so for a team that is always trying to win, they're gonna accidentally win, even if it seems like they really shouldn't and they really should try a more harsh breakdown and rebuild. That's not what they're doing, and so the results on the field are gonna reflect that, even if it's not the strength of the roster isn't the strength of the team anymore. I'm not just writing them off. But only the Buccaneers are going to the playoffs. And also, as much as I love the Green Bay Packers, because I'm pretty confident that the Buccaneers are going to the playoffs here, the Buccaneers would be my second pick to get to the Super Bowl out of the NFC, because there's just so much opportunity for the North teams to beat each other up, and the West as well that we'll get to.
Hmm.
There's so much confusion in those divisions, and I'm so clear that the Buccaneers will be like the 3 seed at the end of things, and their defense has given the Eagles, who are the other good team in the NFC, fits. If I was going to pick a team that's not the Eagles to get to the Super Bowl, it's the Buccaneers.
Ooh,
But let's get to the NFC East,
let's
where you
do
have
it.
the Philadelphia Eagles, who are my Super Bowl pick and my 1 seed, and just running the table after that dominant Super Bowl performance. The Eagles have Britton Covey on their practice squad, a return man and wide receiver from Utah and Timpview High, and Cameron Latu, a tight end from Olympus High, also on the practice squad. Cowboys, another one of those teams with no Utah
Hmm.
connections. New York Giants have Jackson Dart, who will be a starting quarterback at some point from Corner Canyon High and Roy High. And then the Washington Commanders have the ageless wonder, the tackling machine, Bobby Wagner from Utah State.
Yeah, Philadelphia is my 1 seed as well. I don't have them getting back to the Super Bowl though, as good as I think they're going to be this year. Commanders are in for me as well. The big storyline for this division, though, with Utah ties, when does Jackson Dart get the start?
Yeah.
Because he looked pretty good in preseason. Beat out Jameis for the number 2 spot, which like no one really, everyone just kind of thought it was going to be Russ, then Jameis, and then Dart, and then Tommy DeVito, and like no, Jackson Dart earned the number 2 spot, which only means he's going to start at some point throughout this season. Like just it
And
is inevitable.
I wonder if Dable actually likes Dart as much as it seems like he likes Dart, or if he just sees his coaching career flashing before his eyes if he doesn't do
Mm.
something drastic. Russell Wilson got the Steelers to the playoffs, but he is not unlimited in what he can do for an NFL team right now. And so Jackson Dart is going to be the move at some point this
Yeah.
season. I think sooner than later for what they want to do there. I don't have the Commanders in the playoffs. And honestly, the Commanders getting to the NFC Championship, Tanner, you're the man that reminds us every single year that this division has a different division champion every single year. The Commanders are right there for the taking.
I
You
know.
don't want to
And
pick
I,
them?
and I always do. And I'm breaking I couldn't do it this year. Just well, like let's talk about Sirianni's vibe going into tonight before we even pick that game. Like
Yeah,
we're not recognizing that we won the Super Bowl 6 months ago. Like we're it's a new year. Like the fact that they've
I
already
buy it.
gotten out, I do too. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
that terrifies me as a fan of an NFC team.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
and
I think
Dallas
the
is
Eagles are doing it the
Dallas.
right way, and then Dallas is whatever Dallas is.
Oh,
But I am picking the Eagles also to repeat as division champions.
all right. Final division, the NFC West, and both West divisions are going to be crazy competitive this year. I
Your division, Tanner,
can't
take it away.
decide if this is going to be competitive for the wrong reasons because all the teams are kind of just right there in the middle.
Yeah,
Like that very well could
I'm with
happen.
you.
Cardinals have a bunch of guys on their practice squad. Keaton Slovis, former BYU quarterback, Simi Fehoko, the former Brighton High star, who had a great year last year with the Chargers in that fifth receiver role, and that's kind of what Arizona's looking for. He
Yeah,
had an awesome preseason. Was surprised he got cut. Glad he's still on the practice squad. Tijon Palmer, wide receiver that played at Snow College as well, was right in the mix for that final spot. He's back on the practice squad. The Rams, Puka Nacua, the starling
our
of this
man.
show. He is, yeah, BYU and Orem High. looks really healthy, looks really good. A lot of people are drafting him high in fantasy, yours truly included in that. Wyatt Bowles, the Utah State and Syracuse alum on the Rams offensive line. He's on the practice squad at guard. Niners, Fred Warner is back in action for BYU as always, or from BYU as always. Healthy ankle, too. Can't believe he did that on a broken ankle last year. Just insane.
Yeah.
Jacob Robinson on the injured reserve squad to start, but made a good enough impression there, similar to Tyler Batty. He's probably
He
going to
was
play.
trending. He could have made the 53 if he
Yeah.
stays healthy, man. Jacob Robinson's awesome.
Corner from Utah, BYU, Utah State, and Orem High. Bradley Anai's on the roster, DN from Utah. Seahawks have linebacker Connor Toole from Utah and Sotoa Lamea on the practice squad of guard from Utah. I think the Cardinals have a winning record, Cole.
I do too.
I think they're the eighth team. I think
Mm.
they just missed the playoff because they had an awesome offseason, really beefed up that defensive line with Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, brought Calais Campbell back in his old age, which was just
I,
kind of awesome as a Cardinals fan.
I wonder if the Seahawks had known that Micah Parsons was available for two firsts that you think are going to be late in the first round and just a random old defensive tackle, would they have tried to one up the Packers?
I don't know. It's kind of fascinating to see. The Rams are interesting because all their good players are either really young or really old. And
And
how does
injury prone.
and injury prone. So that makes me nervous there. The Niners lost a lot of guys, but it's still Shanahan. It's still the main core of players for the most part. It's Kittle, it's Purdy, it's McCaffrey, it's Warner, Bosa. The Seahawks are just the biggest question mark in the whole league to me right now. Bringing in a guy like Sam Darnold who had a great year, but is Mike McDonald the guy to whisper in his ear the way Kevin O'Connell did?
Hmm.
What do they do
And
with some of the
does
other
Kubiak
pieces?
have that kind of? It's
Yes.
Clint as opposed to Clay, the sons of Gary
Hmm.
Kubiak. Um, yeah, it's that is something to wonder. I've got the Seahawks in the playoffs, Tanner.
I do not.
Okay.
I have them finishing fourth in the division. Still competitive, though.
Yeah.
Similar to kind of that Chicago, Minnesota tier for me. Like, not a bad team by any means, but I've got the Niners winning the division because it's just. You sent a stat the other day, by the way. The Niners in the last 22 years have either made it to the NFC title game or further or missed the
Or just
playoffs
not made the
entirely.
playoffs.
I think that breaks this year. I don't think they're good enough to get to the title game, but I think if they stay healthy, they're good enough to win the division. I think the Rams sneak in as well. There's just enough with Matt Stafford, with Devontae Adams, with Sean McVay that they get in. They have enough young guys to step up that, yeah, I'm going to take the Rams to get in, not win the division. I'm playing it safe here. I really want to pick Arizona to win the division because if there's a chance, they won't surprise me if they do, Cole. That's how
Yeah.
razor thin I think this whole division is.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm going.
Yeah, this is a division I think everyone finishes between 8 and 10 wins even. I
Yep.
also have the Niners as the division champion, and then the Seahawks are my 6th seed, which means Tanner, for the first time in Wilk and Wiss history, 3 seasons, 3 preseason shows in, we've picked all the same division champions. Is this because the NFL is actually this boring, or are we in for a chaos season that we're not
I think
anticipating?
I think you and I might be a little boring for this season. I wanted to go rogue, dude. I really did. And I did last year on a couple picks. And sometimes it works out, right? Like
I think
going
picking the
rogue
Packers is a zig. Like the Lions
Sure.
should win a
Sure.
division. Like they're coming off that kind of a season, but we both went that way.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Well, let's get to week one picks. We'll have a guest next week again. You could win $25 if you are the
Hey,
top person in Wilk and Wiss. Excited. We're working on getting guests on for the first couple weeks. So let's start with tonight. Dallas at Philadelphia. Philly. Like they're so focused. Dallas is such a mess. I mean, the fan base is mad. The Longhorns even suck, so it's like that whole fan base is just going through. They don't suck. They lost to Ohio State and their quarterback looked bad. Like
yeah.
let's Texas is in a much better position than Dallas. Philly wins big.
The biggest spread of the week one slate is this season opening thing that we always try to build up and has been a really close contest between the Super Bowl defending champion and, whatever team they think can give them a run for their money. Dallas is here because they have the fan base and they have the Jerry Jones, and I think Philly runs away with it. Kansas City versus the Chargers in Brazil on
Mm.
Friday night. Funky things can happen. And this was the game that the Eagles and the Packers were in last year. And the reason Jordan Love didn't have that star-studded season last year is because of injuries that start happening on that weird field. If there is any team in the NFL whose training staff is not equipped to handle Brazil, it is the Chargers and the weird injuries that come across their team every single year. I will take the Chiefs.
I'm taking the Chiefs too. No, it's going to take the Chargers a minute to figure out without Rashawn Slater as well. That's such a big loss for them, and why I wanted to kind of pick them maybe to get the division. But yeah, same reasons. Tampa Bay in Atlanta. I think this is going to be one of those weird opening week games where people get overhyped. I'm picking the Falcons. People are going to get overexcited about them. I'm going to take Atlanta to win, but it's just kind of one of those early season teams just win games. It's professional football.
Yeah. I remember 2 years ago, the first year that we were making picks, coming into week one and week two, Tampa Bay was predicted to be just a terrible team. And we were kind of in. And I remember our buddy Jacob Abel, who's been on the show every year too. Imagine he'll make an appearance as a guest picker this year too. Picking Tampa Bay as one of those teams that, maybe they're not as bad as we think, and then they weren't. Tampa Bay comes out strong, and their team, the well coached, well run organizations always start the season strong at least. And so I'm taking Tampa Bay in week one. Cincinnati and Cleveland, and this puts it to the test, man. The Browns are going to be one of the worst teams in the league, but Cincinnati always loses games in September, and it's Joe Flacco, not Shadur, and I'm going to take the Browns.
I got to take Cincinnati. Like, it's
Yeah,
got to
you
stop
really
at
do have
something. You just
to.
kind of have to, right? Like, I'm taking Cincinnati. This, I think, is one of the more interesting matchups week one. Miami at Indianapolis. Colts a short favorite. I'm going to take the Dolphins. I think the Colts are going to be that bad with Daniel Jones. Like, the fact that Anthony Richardson could not beat out Daniel Jones is not worst case scenario for the Colts, because this just means now Anthony Richardson's not the guy. You can suck this year, try and draft a quarterback again in this upcoming draft. I think Miami gets a close win on opening day in Indy.
I'm taking Miami as well. Vegas at New England, and New England is favorite. You see sometimes when Vegas doesn't know quite what to do, they do favor home teams, but that doesn't really bear out in the NFL, where home field advantage is not as big of a deal as it is in college football, say. And so Indy being a favorite and New England being a favorite here, I don't see, and I'm taking Vegas.
I'm taking Vegas too. I think this is a competitive game. I love Drake May. I think Mike Vrabel is a better fit for what they want to do in New England there. I like what they how they drafted this year in New England. They're just not quite there yet, so I'm going to take Vegas as well.
It's two new head coaches, and so we're already eager to see what kind
Yeah,
of vibe it is that they're going to bring, and I just think the Raiders will have it together earlier.
agreed. Cardinals in New Orleans. This could, part of me thinks New Orleans could just whip out a random early season
Yeah.
win. I've got to take Arizona though. Based on where these two teams are at, what the rosters look like, I'm going to take the Cardinals comfortably covering 6.5.
Yeah, I think Spencer Rattler starts the season, and again, yeah, it's their schedule is favorable early on, but I don't know if Spencer Rattler's the guy, and so Arizona is going to be my pick in week one. Steelers and Jets, the Fields Aaron Rodgers game. You just flip the teams and see what happens, but the Steelers totally new look. They got DK Metcalf in there, and I think the Steelers win big.
I'm going to take the Jets in a really close, really low scoring game. I think this comes down to a field goal in the final 45 seconds of the game, and I'm going to take the Jets.
See, I'm old enough to remember Jet and Viking Brett Favre as well. And if there's one thing that these old quarterbacks do is they start the season very strong, and as the hits start coming and they don't stop coming, then the body starts to wear down on you when you're a 42-year-old man. So early in the season, which the Steelers do every year anyway, Aaron Rodgers is going to look very good. They're going to start very well. It's later in the season when it gets colder that I'm going to be less sure of picking this kind of a game.
Love the Smash Mouth reference. Just phenomenal stuff. Washington should beat New York fairly easily, but again, it's week one. We never know. I'm going to still go with Washington.
I'm not sure if I'm going to pick New York until they make the switch to Jackson Dart. Carolina versus Jacksonville, and I will take the Jags.
I'm taking the Jags too. I think if this was in Carolina, I know we talk about home field. I think I would maybe pick Carolina if they were at home. Interested to see what Jacksonville does. I think this is one of the more competitive games we get to.
I agree.
Tennessee and Denver. I don't think this will be competitive. What worst possible first start for Cam Ward in terms of who defensively he has
Yeah.
to go up against. This Denver defense got better after a really good season a year ago. Defensively, I'm taking the Broncos.
There's 3 or 4 teams in the league that I think have a real case for being the best defense, and the Broncos are one of them, and they get to go against the rookie quarterback making his first start. Broncos big. San Francisco versus Seattle. San Francisco. I think it does take Kubiak's scheme a little bit to marinate and get together in Seattle, and Sam Darnold is going to be under pressure immediately, and I take San Francisco.
Say the line, Bart. Faithful then, faithful now. Taking the Seahawks in an upset week
Hey.
one. Detroit's at Green Bay. I mean, we've got some great. We're getting just the meat of some of these matchups now. I'm going to take the Lions. I just don't know that. I think they're. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Detroit's healthier than Green Bay is right now, just by enough that I think that gives them a slight edge. And it's going to take Micah Parsons maybe a game to be a true game wrecker. He's still going to be phenomenal. I'm not saying that. I just think Detroit
Yeah.
wins this week.
See, I think they get him in enough of those just very schemed up packages that Parsons is going to come away with 3 sacks, even if he's only on the field for 50% of the plays, and the Packers come away with a win. Houston at the Rams, and I take Houston week one.
I'm going to go Rams. I think this is also a chance to be a really, really fun, good game, but I'm going to go with the Rams at home.
Game of the week.
Sunday Night Football, Baltimore and Buffalo. I'm going to take the Ravens in a shootout. I think this is going to be a
Oof.
phenomenal game, and I went back and forth on this a million times. Josh Allen is no longer engaged Josh Allen. He's married Josh Allen
Mm-hmm.
to Haley Steinfeld, but I think the Ravens get him. I think Josh has a phenomenal. I think this is just going to be. This is just everyone's going to be giddy watching this game Sunday night.
Yeah, the fact that we get this in week one, honestly, maybe is a little bit of a distraction because you'd want these teams to be a little bit more fully built and fully ready to go, get it later in the season. But wonderful appetizer for what should be the race down between the 1 and the 2 seeds. And I'm taking Baltimore because I think their defense is ready in week one.
Hmm.
Josh Allen, we've seen coming out of the gate, sometimes has those funky interceptions in the first month of the season. Minnesota and Chicago on Monday night, and I take Minnesota.
I'm going to take Chicago. I think Ben Johnson's got some fun stuff dialed up that Minnesota's not quite ready for.
I
So,
wanted to.
yeah. Real quick, Cole, before we wrap up, Super Bowl. I got Detroit going to the Super Bowl as the 5 seed, taking on the 2 seeded Ravens, and I have the Ravens hosting the Lombardi Trophy. Second time in a row I've picked Baltimore, I believe, to win the Super Bowl.
Eagles over Ravens. I also have the Ravens coming out of a tough AFC.
There you go, brother. Fun first episode. Appreciate you. Glad we're back. You can tune in on YouTube. As always, just search for Wilk and Wiss. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And Cole, we'll see how this first weekend goes. It's going to be a blast.
See you next week.